I want to go to the politics of it because, of course, that is why Trump and Walz spoke yesterday. It's why Trump just didn't declare the Insurrection Act and send in the military and take Minnesota in hand. It's not going well. I read the poll numbers yesterday from a couple of different outlets, and the independents have completely abandoned Trump on the issue of ICE. Of course, the Democrats are not there at all. He's got Republican support, but not entirely. It's about 80% support him. And here is Harry Enton talking a little bit more about the polling on ICE operations on CNN Monday, SOT 17.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised that President Trump is sending Tom Homan in because ICE, DHS, Kristi Noem have been a political disaster because just take a look here. I mean, ICE's net approval rating during Trump's term. You go back to term number one. Look, it's pretty even at 0 points. You go to June 2025, right? That was when all that stuff was going on in Los Angeles. They dropped down. Look at this. minus 17 points, way in the basement. But then after Minneapolis, it's even lower. minus 27 points on the net approval rating of ICE. Of course, this all being done under Kristi Noem. So, no, what's going on in Minneapolis is not popular at all.
Mm-hmm. One more. Here he is talking about Kristi Noem, SOT 18.
I mean, just look at her net approval rating. In July of 2025, it was minus 11 points. It's actually gotten more unpopular now at minus 16 points. I looked at every single poll that has been conducted on Kristi Noem's popularity. Every single one, the net approval rating has been negative. ICE is negative. DHS is negative. As I said at the top, Kate, this has been an absolute political disaster for the President of the United States. It's not much of a surprise to me if he wants to push Noem to the side.
So what does that mean? Because everyone's thinking about the midterms. I mean, this is just depressing because what they're doing is working. That those loons are driving down the numbers with their media enablers. All Kristi Noem's trying to do is enforce the law. Yes, she got over her skis on the messaging after Alex Preddy, and she went too far. I mean, honestly, she did it, I'm sure, out of an effort to help the Border Patrol agents. She was almost certainly told by one or more of them that something like that happened. I doubt she just made it up out of thin air. I don't know. But, okay, she's going to be the sacrificial lamb in some way. She got pulled. Bovino, he got pulled. Pulled but not fired, which is good. But in any event, okay, great. So where does this take us politically? Because I just don't know. I don't think those people, those independents are like, okay, I will vote for Trump now, or I will vote Republican in the midterms.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we talked about, right? I mean, the easiest thing you can do as a president of the United States is nothing. Absolutely nothing. If you feel like there is a necessity for profound change, don't do it at all because the uncomfortability caucus doesn't appreciate that. But it turns out when you want to deport 15 million people who got here illegally under Joe Biden, it's tough. It's difficult. And the left puts up a resistance that makes things incredibly uncomfortable. And you just need to be prepared for it. And like, I don't give a shit what the cabinet secretary's approval rating is. Like, nobody really, that is what it is. It does have downstream effects on Republican candidates, undoubtedly, and you see some of that play out with people asking questions and wanting some oversight and all of that being said. But the Republican Party needs to just wrap its mind around, if you say you're going to do something, it's not going to be easy. And on the back end of it, everybody's not going to be like, oh, congratulations, you did it. There's a cottage industry that is entirely built, foreign funding, everything else, to try to destroy any progress that you make. And that's just what you know when you get into politics. Like, that is just the reality that we've dealt with.
Because, for those moderate or independent voters in the mushy middle of our electorate, they're generally conservative, but they're specifically liberal. And what I mean by that is, like, they all agree with Donald Trump's policy and they voted for him in 2024 that we need a secure border, we need to deport criminal illegal aliens. But specifically liberal is like, oh, well, I saw this picture on Instagram of this girl by this car and ICE, stole her away to a concentration camp. I read that, and that's the only thing I know about ICE. Yeah. Right? Like, that's the issue, and we're always going to have that issue. But to Holmes's point, like, you can't give up. You got to push through that and do your best. I mean, like, here's a good hypothetical. What's the name of this illegal immigrant that they were trying to arrest, that this guy came in with the gun and started assaulting? Do we know? Because that's where I would start if I was the Trump administration. I'd be like, all right, well, let's reframe this narrative. Instead of, discussing this video of this guy who had the gun and the gun goes off and the guy tragically loses his life. What was he stopping?
What were they doing there?
What were they doing?
Yeah.
Very good point.
And we need to reframe a lot of these arguments so we put the onus on the left to justify why they're out there in the streets stopping law enforcement.
You're so look at the number of things they've done this on. They're hysterical freakouts that then drive the news that's too, quick to go along with them and drive the poll numbers down. Elon and Doge, just trying to find government waste, fraud, and abuse. That's it. Just trying to find organizations that are a grift. And how many months did we spend on the Democrat freakouts over USAID shutting down and the cuts at the Department of Education, these government bureaucrats who were no longer to be able to cash their checks. And then the debate over the Obamacare subsidies that were necessary in order to fool people into believing that Obamacare was affordable, wasn't as expensive as it was always intended to be, and whether Republicans had an obligation to keep those going, as opposed to letting people feel the pain that Obama inflicted on them, dominated the news for weeks. Now we're actually enforcing the law when it comes to immigration, and we've had meltdowns in LA over trying to do it, in Chicago over trying to do it, and now the ultimate meltdown in Minneapolis, where it had to be the biggest freak out at all because they're trying to distract from a fraud scandal perpetrated by the Somali community there,
Right.
Ilhan Omar, unbeknownst to us, already under investigation thanks to the Biden DOJ. Because if you would marry your brother to get him into the United States, you would do anything, including possibly illegally line your own pockets. It's just, I'm sick of it. It's like, I feel like the independent lane helped get Trump elected because we were the antidote to the lies the mainstream media was telling. But now that he's actually governing, we don't actually serve as the antidote. People are too primed to listen to all the terrible things about Trump. I don't know if they like buyer's remorse, if they just want to go back on their original instincts about Trump. It feels good to be like, no, I hated Kamala, but this guy's a douche. What is it? Why are all these people who actually did vote for Trump now suddenly believing the CNNs and the Nicole Wallaces with their fucking lies about ICE?
Well, I think that's part of the thing is that hit dogs holler. So anytime you've seen Trump go after, whether it was with Doge or whether it's here in Minnesota, when he's going after the grift, which so clearly is funding the Democrats, they flip out. Why would someone freak out about Elon hunting down waste, fraud, and abuse in the government? Because
Totally.
You're funded by the waste, fraud, and abuse. Why would someone freak out about these clear-cut cases of fraud in Minnesota? For God's sake, it was called the Leering Center. The Leering Center.
Yeah.
Of course that's a fraud that's happening. So they freak out because they get their money from that. In LA, they activated the same troops that they have that get foreign funding. If they scream and make enough of a mess and throw enough of a temper tantrum, parents know if you give in to a toddler freaking out, it's going to do it again and again and again. And that's now the playbook of the left. The thing is that voters knew what they were doing in 2024. They were fed up with an open border. They were fed up with criminals walking the streets of America, killing Americans, robbing from Americans, committing fraud. And you have to see the work through. Republicans cannot step back and let any state, Minnesota, California, anyone know that if you make enough of a scene, you know what? We're just going to stop because they've gotten away with that. We saw the summer of 2020.
Smug, what should Homan do? What should Homan do in Minnesota?
While the police are cooperating and providing protection to ICE, he should double down, triple down as fast as possible. Flood the zone with as many federal agents as possible. Catch these criminals and get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, accomplish the mandate.
When you've got cover, get the job done as quickly as possible. As many boots on the ground as possible.
Yeah, accomplish the mandate. I mean, I think it's pretty clear what everybody wants to have happen. Get criminal illegals out of your communities. And you can do that. You can also do that without doing a ticker tape parade down Nicollet Avenue. You know what I mean? I think that's the beauty of what it is that Tom Homan brings here is he's been doing it for 25 years. He's got medals ringed around his neck from the guy, ironically, who did it the best, Barack Obama, in terms of deportation. But is somebody who's just law and order. And I think they...
But can we talk about that, Holmes? Can we talk about that, what exactly you're saying? Because there have been many reports in right-wing media that there is a division between Kristi Noem and Bovino on the one side and Tom Homan on the other about how these operations ought to be done. It's really Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski. That's what the right-wing media is saying. Those two are tight, shall we say, and that they have a disagreement with the Tom Homans of the world about how these operations ought to be conducted. And reportedly, the Noem-Lewandowski section doesn't mind the parade down Main Street and also wants to focus on all the illegals. And Homan is more focused on pinpoint strikes, getting rid of just the criminal illegals. But I don't know. Like, I haven't seen the ticker tape parade by Noem and Lewandowski. I've seen them kind of going about trying to arrest as many as they can. They say it's over 70% criminal illegals. And it's the left doing a ticker tape. Like, the left is creating this chaos around wherever they go. So you think they're going to be any different when Tom Homan's people show up there to make their arrests?
Well, you already have to assume that the left is going to do what it is. I mean, part of politics is already understanding what it is that the opposite side is going to do before you get engaged in the first place. I mean, so I'm not faulting Kristi Noem or the DHS at all. Hell, they secured our border when we were all told that couldn't happen without federal legislation, and they got it done really, really quickly. I think the whole point of what Tom Homan is trying to accomplish here and what he has accomplished throughout the course of his career is it's just law and order. When you have cabinet secretaries involved at a very high level or even just below that, you're dealing with it ultimately a political incentive as well. They not only want to get the job done, but they want to take credit for a job being well done. And that introduces an element.
They may want to run for president.
It introduces an element of public opinion into the discussion. Tom Homan does not have that. He doesn't give a shit what you think about him. He's done that his entire career. And that he doesn't even care, doesn't listen to it. Like, if you told me that Tom Homan consumed a single sentence of critique about what it is that he's did, I would be shocked by that.
The man has never Googled himself, ever.
Right, exactly. And that's my point.
A new year means new financial goals, like making sure your savings are secure and diversified. Will this be the year you decide to talk to someone from Birch Gold Group? They use an educational approach with a deep understanding of macroeconomics. There are forces pushing the dollar lower and gold higher, which is why they believe every American should own physical gold. So until January 30th, if you're a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. To claim eligibility and start the process, just text MK to the number 989898. Birch Gold can help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and you are still eligible for a rebate of up to $10,000. Consider making right now your first time to buy gold and take advantage of a rebate up to $10,000 when you buy by January 30th. Text MK to the number 989898. Claim your eligibility today. Again, just text MK to the number 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.